So we got one of our African brothers that he's going to share why he can't marry an American woman. Let's review it.
Why I prefer not to get married to an American woman is because most American women are wired for divorce.
Now, let's talk about his particular statement saying most American women are wired for divorce. In the Western world, you have no fault divorce. No fault divorce means I can divorce you at any time I want to, for any reason I want to, and a judge will not stop it from happening. I don't have to show any kind of proof. I don't have to prove anything. I can just, hey, I don't want to be with you no more. I can just say irreconcilable differences. And I'm like, but I ain't got a problem. I want to be in my family. Well, I don't want to. Women are also incentivized in the United States of America to divorce versus African countries or Caribbean countries, right? The Western world is horrible for men. A woman could come in, marry you as a man, and take half of everything from you. In African nations, Caribbean nations, that's not set up like that where a woman could just take half of everything that you have. They don't hardly get much of nothing if they choose to leave for just nothing at all. I'm not saying if the man's abusing you. I'm not saying if the man's cheating and doing all kind of other, having side babies and all kind of, I'm not saying any of that. No, because that would be right to do that, right? But she just don't want to be in a relationship no more because she's not happy. So she's going to take half of your stuff, right? They can't be incentivized. Just like if they get down on their luck for whatever the reason, they incentivize even to be single because they give them food stamps. They give them some sort of welfare. They give them Section 8 housing, even though they're starting to clamp down on Section 8 a lot more these days. And a lot of people about to be thrown out on the streets with Section 8. And I'm going to tell you this much. The more they clamp down on entitlements, you're going to see more women want to be in relationships and be married. The reason why you have women that want to be married today is because they incentivize not to be. So let's continue what this brother has to say.
Many of them come into your life just to divorce you.
That can be true too. That's one finesse. Having a baby and getting a man with some money and having a baby. The baby is the lottery, at least for 18 years if the guy doing good. And also the man is a short-term lottery because you get to take half of everything that he owns. That's also incentivized in America.
They are okay with going through a divorce. They are not willing to take any hit.
Now, I know the man don't mean physical violence, something like that. I believe he's talking about they're not willing to deal with anything. But let's continue.
Any little thing. I'm about to go to the car. I'm about to go to court and get a divorce with you right now, man. I ain't playing with you, boy. I don't want you no more. I'm going to check out this relationship. I do not want to go through that. Most American women live on fast food.
Well, that's an opinion because most American women don't eat fast food, but maybe the American women that he been around ate fast food. Trust me, there's a lot of American women don't like fast food.
Check out KFC, Popeye chicken, and, McDonald's. I do not want to go through having to buy food every day outside. This is one of the reasons why I would prefer to get married to an African woman, because African women, they have been trained to make food in the house.
Brother, let me say this about that. Yes, African women that are raised in your countries and that are in the environment of the traditional family, yes. But African immigrants who come here, especially their children, first generation, no, sir. They will be no different than anybody else. So please do not get that twisted. So you definitely must be talking about maybe in your homeland where you come from. And it's better that you go over there with them, because you bring them back here to America or anywhere in the Western world, because you could be in the UK or somewhere else in Europe, because I know a lot of y'all immigrate to a lot of European countries. You don't mean just America. Keep them in your home country. Don't bring them here. Let's continue.
Been trained to stay in the relationships no matter what happens. It's very difficult for an African woman to get it.
Well, speaking about history in America, it was the exact same way. Is that, at least let's talk about the black community. I can't, I don't have expertise on other communities like that. I mean, to a point, I know some things, but let's talk about us. In the black community in America, it was the exact same thing. It was not easy to get a divorce. You know, Big Mama and all of them stayed with their husbands until they died. Grandpa stayed with his wife until they died, right? It was always a family stayed together. The no-fault divorce in America, which ruined everything, came in the 1970s. Prior to that, you didn't have a divorce problem in America like that. In the black community, the average age that a black woman would get married would be 19 years old. And 80% of black people were married. We only had like a 20% single parenting rate. Now that has flipped on its head in a short amount of time due to no-fault divorce and entitlement programs that encourage women that it's okay to be single because they will be taken care of by daddy government. You know what I'm saying? Back in that time period when you had an 80% marriage rate, it was no entitlement programs. So that's why I've always said that I support the Republicans getting rid of it, because we do better when we don't have those things versus when we just given those things, right? So I get what the brother's saying, 200%. Now, does that mean that applies to all American women? No, it does not apply to all. I mean, we can't say it applies to all. But unfortunately, the reality of the divorce thing, they do apply to all, and we know that according to statistics, 75% of divorces in America is filed by women, not by men. So if you look at, if there was no such thing as no-fault divorce, the marriage rates will skyrocket again because men aren't trying to leave their families like that. That's why I tell my African brothers and sisters, Caribbean brothers and sisters, etc., keep your country the way it is. Do not mimic no laws that's in the Western world. Don't mimic a one, other than the laws that come from the 10 Commandments out of the Bible. Other than that, because they don't know how to run a society, and you see this society went to hell. Do you want to mimic that? So let me know what you think about, what the brother here is saying. He's definitely spot on, but he has to understand it's the environment and society and laws that incentivizes that, versus like in his country, the society also encourages, marriage, staying with your family, etc., due to not only just the society itself, family, responsibility. The family won't sit up there and just say, hey, you're going to leave your man for what? We don't have that in our community in America anymore, unfortunately.